Good day, YouTube. This is Jay Money with Forward Financial. Just an update here on Intel. They had a bunch of information come out today, and haven't talked about them for a little bit. I've talked about them in the past. They're one of my favorite semiconductor stocks. You can comment and say which one is your favorite. I know there's a lot of AMD people out there. I used to have AMD. I've also made AMD videos, and I sold that one way too early, but that's for another story. You can find those all in my library. So again, this is Intel, ticker INTC, 40% buy. It's came down a little bit here in the last month or so. Looks like it was up to 67, 68 at one point. I haven't been watching this one, as it's just a long-term hold for me, and it's slowly came down since then. So everything that I've been kind of watching is kind of in the red today, so we'll see what it does here by the end of the day. So again, I have 4 shares at 48.11, ticker INTC. And the dividend, you can see I'm going to get here on the 1st of June, $1.39. So take this, 0.3475 times the 4 shares, and that's how you end up with the dividend. So if you don't know what this one is, it delivers computer networking, data storage, and communication platforms. And feel free to pause and go over the rest there for yourself. Been around since 1968, $220 billion market cap, and not too bad a volume, 34 million. And does have, so kind of in between a buy and a hold on this one. I haven't bought any recently, especially since it went up. I have more in a retirement account, and I just let it sit there and collect the dividends. Earnings are coming up after July 22, after hours. And it looks like they did recently raise their dividend, so from 33 cents to 34 or 0.3475. So every little bit helps. Here's a big competitor of theirs, AMD, 7660. So if you have favorite semiconductor stock out there, go ahead and list that in the comments as well. That'd be interesting to know. But not too bad of ratings on Intel. MSN is showing it here as a buy. And I got some information here, a bunch of information that came out today, so just 4 hours ago. So the Core i9 leads the way for gaming and creative laptops. So the launch could seem like a kind of a snooze fest. Yes, these are the first of the high-power mobile gaming and creative targeted CPUs built on the company's 10nm SuperFin process. And this is the one that we've been kind of waiting on, and so we'll see what this does to the stock price as well. And yes, Intel promises that it's faster than AMD's offerings, so we'll see what that does to Intel as well as what it does to AMD. So frankly, it would be newsworthy if Intel didn't make those claims, but these chips are basically just an expansion of the line Intel rolled out at CES 2021. And feel free to pause and go over. I'm not going to read it all word for word, so just kind of skim through it here. So Intel debuted the Tiger Lake H architecture and related process, which in conjunction with the 500 series chipset adds support for Thunderbolt 4. The Wi-Fi, memory, and dual built-in displays. And here's even a video you could go to on MSN and watch that. AMD unveils Ryzen 5000 chip for gaming laptops. And both of these, well, AMD did a lot more progression in regards to the stock price last year than what Intel did. Intel finally started going up this year, but with everybody staying home last year, everybody buying laptops and so on, so it was a good year for both of them actually. So But here it kind of goes over the CPUs, EUs, and more information. So, and again, you can find this all on MSN.com. Intel just launched its next-gen laptop chips to compete against Apple's M1 MacBooks, and this is just dated 6 hours ago. The massive ad campaign that targeted the M1 MacBooks, Intel went out of its way to slam Apple's M1 chips. And I did a video a while back about Intel and kind of talked a little bit about the M1 chips that were launched last November. The M1 is arguably one of the most exciting computing innovations of 2020, one Intel can't quite match. The M1 is a 5nm ARM chip similar to the chip powering the iPhone 12 series. M1 Macs have been praised for their performance and battery life on laptops. The M1 does have limitations that Intel tried to highlight, but they're limitations that Apple will likely correct in the features, such as better gaming performance and support for multiple monitors. Against the backdrop, Intel has launched its next-gen laptop chips to rival the M1 MacBooks, the 11th gen Intel core processors that will power consumer and business laptops this year. So they're trying to cater to business, especially the gamers, because that's a big market as well. There's still a lot of people not back to work yet, so I think there's still a lot of people on unemployment and so on, but not to talk about all that on the channel. I'm just stating an opinion and being optimistic about the sales going up, and I just foresee it to continue to grow, so which is a good thing for both Intel and AMD. If you have Taiwan Semiconductor, you can leave that in the comments as well. I don't have any of Taiwan, but Intel's flagship Tiger Lake H mobile chips are here to take on Ryzen 5000. I kind of talked a little bit about this already in some of the other articles. Again, this is on MSN News. Going to kind of lightly scroll through here if you'd like to pause and go over this information. But the company says the new chips will provide significant performance improvements over the predecessors for the 10th gen Comet Lake series. Claims they'll provide 19% gen-on-gen multi-threaded performance improvement. Comet Lake predecessor on titles including Hitman 3. I have not played that. I don't really game too much anymore. I've heard about all these games. So Hitman 3, Far Cry, New Dawn, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, which is a huge one. And, well, I guess that's Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. But the company also took aim at its competitors and claims the also beats the rival AMZ Ryzen N5900. So we'll see. Lots of big talk, lots of alphas here. We'll see who wins the tug of war. So Intel just announced the 11th gen mobile CPUs we've been waiting for, and as you can see, this is just dated today, again a couple hours ago. So lots of good announcements for Intel today. Otherwise, I think the stock would be up, but everything I'm watching today has been in the red, so kind of a sell-off going on today. I'm not exactly sure what else is going on with the market today, but so the 11th gen H series of mobile processors will join the ones that announced during the CES 2021, bringing the total to 6. And I'm not going to read all of this to you, so feel free to go over that. And NVIDIA's got a lot of talk going on, so I kind of follow Intel, NVIDIA, AMD. Here's Intel's released the 5 new SKUs for the consumer market. And I'll pause here for a moment if you'd like to pause the video and go over those. But the Core i9, i7, i5, and quite a bit of information in here. So it talks about the UHD graphics, 32 exception units compared to Iris 96 EUs. So gotta love technology, always advancing, always changing. A lot of the times, by the time they release it, it's outdated. It's just the way of the world, fast moving, and sometimes helps the stock price though. So what would a Chinese invasion of Taiwan mean for Intel stock? And again, this is just dated here today. So lead in the semiconductor chip design and manufacturing has come to define the plight of Intel. Stock chip designs from companies like AMD and NVIDIA are beating the longtime tech darling at its own game. And its stock performance has lagged its rivals as a result. And just as I've talked about in some of my past videos, so however, this person here, Mr. Pat, the CEO, appears intent on reclaiming Intel's technological lead. I think soon after he took over, it went up $5 or $6. I would have to go back. It hovered around $48 range for quite some time, and I even thought about parting ways at one point in time, but as you can see, it's currently at 55, and we did hit this peak of 68.26, so we'll see what happens with it here by year end. We'll see if I can go back to 70. But again, he's had a lot to do with the price going up, so and eventually its industry lead, and some recent national security threats faced by Taiwan semiconductors could play a key role in that effort. The threat of the Chinese invasion of Taiwan has received increasing news coverage in recent weeks, following reports of rising concerns from some U.S. military officials, and so on. And feel free to pause and go over that there for yourself. So here's kind of Taiwan, and from the perspective of the chip stock investors, this threat from mainland China highlights Taiwan Semiconductor's most significantly vulnerability. AMD, Apple, NVIDIA, and others depends on Taiwan Semiconductor for at least part of the chip production, while Intel has sometimes contracted with Taiwan Semiconductor on some chip production recently. It has historically designed and produced all of its own semiconductor chips, so that could be a definite benefit here. Like I said, if you have Intel, AMD, Taiwan Semiconductors, NVIDIA, or any of these, go ahead and leave that in the comments, and that would be interesting to know as well. Intel is the largest owner of US-based fabs. It would likely receive the largest benefit from such an outlay. So this kind of goes over how Intel has lobbied the US government for subsidiaries to bring some of this manufacturing back to the United States, which could be a definite benefit for this one. So the White House has responded with a proposed $50 billion industry subsidy. Over here to Reddit, 1 month ago. And over here to StockTwits, see if we can find any juicy details on this one. Uncle Pat, no turnaround on Tuesday. IBM unveils and other AI-backed hybrid cloud solutions. So it always feels kind of good to diversify. I have some IBM. It looks like it's went up a little bit. I have Intel. Like I said, I've had AMD in the past, and unfortunately sold it way too early. I wish I would have kept it. I believe I still have about a couple of shares in a retirement account, which I'm just going to continue to hold those, and if it goes down much lower, I might pick up some. It, I think, did almost hit 100 at one point in time, but I continue to watch it from time to time. And with the car makers, I feel it's always good to diversify between Intel, AMD, Nvidia, and so on, because you never know when like a Tesla is gonna need chips, or any of the other automakers, or it's just good to diversify. I like to diversify, not over diversify, but it's always good to have some diversity in case one goes down and another goes up. That way it keeps you kind of balanced. But not much other information in there. See what tip ranks it at. But I do have some more Intel in a retirement account. Like I said, I just let it sit there and do its thing, collect the dividends. I have it set up on drip, so we'll see what happens with it over the long run. But tip ranks is showing a 20% upside of 66.43, high of 86, low of 40. So we'll see what it does here the rest of the day. It's kind of in between the average and the low right now. So, but that's all that I have for Intel. Like I said, if you have this one, leave it in the comments. Any other comments about it, and smash that like button. Hit the subscribe if you haven't, and hit the bell so you're notified of when the next videos drop. Again, this is J Money, Falling Forward Financial. Happy trading, happy investing, stay green. Cheers.